Satya Dhamma Reflection on July the 1st, 2022. Don't be obsessed with walking within the walking. Simultaneously use the Dhamma reminder, having the essence of cutting diluted knowing at the same time. Don't be obsessed with significance and meanings and involvements within oneself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Let's not be obsessed within oneself like animals. Sinking within all manners, standing or walking. This is emotions of buffaloes and cows. Use the reminder to cut through more often. No is not no itself. Let's not be obsessed to give significance and meanings and involvement in anything. On and on. The disregard is not itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself continuously. Remind oneself through the essence of cutting within the cutting itself. The reminder that cut through itself. There is no pitfall here. This is only the purifying the pitfalls. Don't let oneself become rigid, proceeding as such on and on, sinking on and on, back and forth. This is the emotions of the beings. Even the fixation itself is anatta within itself. The delusive attachment or the upatthana is also anatta within itself. No grasping even to the non-grasping itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself continuously. Reminder of cutting, helping through cutting, cutting as helping. Let's not be obsessed with being relaxed, being comfortable. This is all about samudaya. Deludedly living, deludedly fixating, deludedly dwelling. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Cut through the cutting itself. Let's continue to make a conclusion through the essence of cutting deluded knowing. Let's not be lazy to make a conclusion. The reminder of cutting, the habit of the overlaying within the states of mind, within any conditions, within looking, seeing and knowing. Let's not be deludedly having the attempt to dwell, overlaying within Dhamma. This is cycle of becoming, circling within itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself, child. There is no need to be considerate to one's own mind. No need. Disregard even from the disregard itself. There is no need to be considerate to one's own mind. Cutting as helping, helping through cutting. Ending as helping. This is not about attempting to begin or to end. Disregard even from the disregard itself at all times, child. This is the essence of cutting within itself to be given at all times. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself, child. The awakening and the brightening will not grasp itself. Disregard doesn't grasp itself. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. Help samsara through the flawlessness continuously. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The disregard doesn't grasp itself, child. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. Proceed on simultaneously as such. Let's purify simultaneously. Purify through the extinction simultaneously, altogether. Purify through the emptiness simultaneously, altogether. There is no need to be considerate to one's own mind. This is the obsession to be concerned to dwell within the mind. Disregard even from the disregard itself instead. Cut through as helping instead. Cut through the deluded knowing as helping. This is not about cutting the mind. Cut through the cutting itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Cut through the cutting itself instead. Cut through the cutting itself. This is not about cutting something to create exhaustion to it. The delusion to cut is creates exhaustion. Cut through the cutting itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Continue with the Dhamma reminder of cutting the deluded knowing. Otherwise, there will be only the emotions of cows and buffaloes, sinking within knowing, looking, seeing, within feelings, emotions, within the body, the mind, within the state of Dhamma attainment, sinking within senses and sense perceptions. These are all about emotions of cows and buffaloes. The Buddha has given the enlightenment to all beings, but there's still the emotions of beingness all the time. Cut through the cutting itself so that there's no suffering, child. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself, well with it. Continue to remind oneself with the essence, otherwise you'll be dull, sinking within yourself, being dull within even walking and standing. Remind oneself through the cutting within the cutting itself, cutting through the reminder itself. There is no pitfalls. There is just the purification. The habits, all habits are pitfalls. The anicca within such a thing itself, anatta within such a thing itself, how can it be taken as a habit? That's why it's a pitfall. Even good habit is still a pitfall. How can it become habit? That which is not about habits, disregard even from the disregard itself. The habits in the worldly or Dhamma is all bad habits, is all pitfall. How can it become habits? Deludedly fixated, deludedly clinging within the worldly and Dhamma. The delusion to fixate is itself bad habits, pitfalls. Disregard even from the disregard itself, child. Every Buddha era, there is the essence of cutting deluded knowing that is given. So don't grab it and taking it to fixate on it. Cling to it. The Satya Dharma or the noble truth is not to be fixated upon. Just follow to cut through. Cut through the deluded knowing accordingly, helping through the enlightenment, helping through cutting deluded knowing instead. Disregard even from the disregard itself simultaneously. No is not no itself simultaneously.
เราแก๊สทิ้งไว้ไฟไหม้บ้านทำอะไรก็ไม่ขาดตัวไม่ขาดตอน
Whatever we do, we must cut through it, complete it.
ไหนอะสังฆทานใครอยู่ไหนลูกคนไหนเอามาเรียบร้อย
There's a Mahasangatana today.
เร็วของเราเหรอไปนี่ผมยกนี่มาอย่ารับแล้ว
May all beings be part of this offering. Okay, now everything is offered, done, completely done. The maintaining the mindfulness, concentration, contemplation, and all type of dharma is the habits. So just disperse it, disperse the mind. Don't compose it. Disregard even from the disregard itself as a foundation, so that there is cutting as helping there within any state of mind that you are in. Disregard even from the disregard itself. You have to remind yourself as such. So wherever you are, it will cut through like this, beyond shining. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Just form this thought, this essence. Don't walk like cows or buffaloes. Walking in the walking is like that. Simultaneously use the essence of cutting deluded knowing at the same time. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Simultaneously. Sinking within, standing, in walking, in sitting. This is not just being limited within looking, seeing, and knowing. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The disregard doesn't grasp itself. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. Continue to use the essence of cutting deluded knowing simultaneously. The reminder that cut through itself simultaneously. Continue to use the Dhamma reminder to support the essence. So that it will not be obscured, it will not be unclear. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The reminder that supports the essence of the non-attachment.
องรับเนื้อหาเรื่อยพี่
Continue to use the right reminders of the essence. Disregard from the disregard itself simultaneously through the internally and externally. Cut through the cutting itself. This is not about cutting something. Don't be in the stillness. Disperse more. Disregard from the disregard itself continuously. Furthermore, disperse in the way that doesn't grasp itself. The awakening doesn't grasp itself. The brightening doesn't grasp itself. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. This will be opening completely. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The disregard doesn't grasp itself. The disregard doesn't grasp itself. Whenever there is significance and meanings and involvement, it will create roots, which is sticky. No is not even no itself. This is not about something within something. This is not about no within the no. No is not even no itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. This is not about the disregard within disregarding. When there is significance and meanings, it will create root immediately, sinking in it immediately. This is the root of the upatan, the delusive attachment. No is not even the no itself. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. This will uproot all the crystallization, the origins within anything. It must be dispersing. Dispersing well. The disregard doesn't grasp itself. Well with it. Disperse in the way without grasping, no grasping even for the non-grasping itself. This is the brightening that doesn't grasp itself, the awakening doesn't grasp itself. Disperse it. Expand the awakening out without grasping itself, the brightening without grasping itself, the anupap that doesn't grasp itself. Use the reminder to support the essence continuously. Each sentence that is given, this is the reminder that purifies itself. Just use it continuously. This will not create a return to sink in, to maintain within anything. It will not return to maintain, to sink, to sustain. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Cut through the cutting itself. So that there is no return to sink, to maintain. Disperse well. It has to disperse. It indicates that there is no grasping. Disperse outward. Disregard that doesn't grasp itself simultaneously. That is the anupap that is brightening, shining through. All the significance and meanings and involvement, it is like covered up. It is the seed of the suffering, the seed of the samudaya. No is not no itself, child.
ไม่ก็ไม่ใช่ไม่เองเลยลูก
Give no significance to the disregard
ไม่
itself.
ใช่เองเนี่ยมันเลือดคลายออกเต็มที่หน่อย
This will be completely unwound.
สภาวะไม่เอาสภาวะเอง
The
ลักษณะ
states,
ไม่เอากันในลักษณะ
the conditions, the attributes that
ไม่เอากัน
don't
ในจิตเอง
grasp themselves, the mind that doesn't
ไม่
grasp
ใช่การเอา
itself,
กันในธรรมเองลูก
the Dhamma that
ไม่เอา
doesn't
แม้กระ
grasp
ทั่งไม่เอา
itself,
เอง
no grasping even for the non-grasping itself.
มันไม่เหลือหรอก
Nothing is left like this.
นึกสติขึ้นมาเตือนตัดเรื่อยๆลูก
Use the
ตัด
reminder
กันในนึกสติเองเรื่อย
to remind oneself through cutting within cutting,
ๆ
cutting through the
จะได้
reminder
ไปล้าง
itself.
นิสัย
This
ตัว
will
ไปแช่
purify
ไป
the
ส่ง
habits of
เอา
the
เอา
attempt
นิสั
to
ย
maintain,
ไปแช่
to
ไปส่ง
sink.
เนี่ยมันเอาส
This
ภาวะ
is
เอาลักษณะ
grasping
มัน
for
เอา
any conditions. This is the delusive attachment. This is
ส
fixation.
ติแห่งการตัดกันในนึกสติเอง
The reminder that
เรื่อยๆ
purifies itself. Continue with this.
ตัดช่วยกันเรื่อยๆ
Then there will be the continuation of cutting deluded knowing, cutting through the maintaining, the sustaining, the sinking,
ไม่แม้กระทั่ง
cutting
ตัว
through
ไม่
the
เอง
clinging
ไม่เอง
continuously.
เรื่อยๆอาจหาร
Disregard
เด็ด
from the
ขาด
disregard itself. This is being bold,
ดี
being
ๆ
deliberate,
เกรงใจใจ
to
ตัว
cut
เอง
through.
อย่าเกรง
Don't
ใจ
be
สภาวะอะไร
considerate
อย่า
to
เกรง
one's
ใจ
own
ลักษณะ
mind, to
อะไร
one's own
อย่า
conditions
เกรงใจ
of
อาร
the
มณ์อย่าเกรง
mind.
ใจความรู้สึกอย่าเกรงใจ
Let's
ควา
not
ม
be
คิดความเห็นความหมาย
considerate to opinions and meanings, feelings, looking, seeing, and knowing. Let's not be considerate to anything
จะได้สมุทเฉด
so that it will be deliberate, cut through.
ไม่ก็ไม่ใช่ไม่เองเลย
The
ลูก
disregard is not itself, child.
ไม่ใช่แม้กระทั่งไม่ใช่
No is not
เอง
even the no itself.
จะได้สมุทเฉด
This will be
ช่วย
deliberate
สัง
cut
วร
through
ไป
to
เรื่อย
help samsara continuously.
เตือนเรื่อยๆสินึกขึ้นมาเตือนเรื่อยๆไม่งั้นมันก็ดูแช่
Continue
ดู
to
แช่
remind
ดูอีก
oneself,
แล้ว
otherwise one will sink in knowing and seeing again and
เดี๋ย
again.
วไปทำงานลงแช่แข็งหัวนะแล้วแช่ดูแช่
Sinking
ดู
like
แช่
this,
ดู
just
ขี้เกียจนึกสติ
like
ขึ้นมา
working
ล้าง
within the freezing factory.
ไม่ตัวไม่เองเลยลูก
Disregard
ไม่
from the
ตัวไม่
disregard
เอง
itself.
นึกสติขึ้นมาตัด
Just
นึกสติ
remind
เองไปด้วย
oneself
หน่อย
with the essence of cutting
ข
within
นาด
the
ยืนยัง
reminder
แช่ยืน
itself.
เลย
The habit is
หนักกว่าอี
like
กเดินยังแช่เดินเลย
sinking in the walking, in the looking, in the knowing, in the seeing, in the
นั่นแหละ
standing.
นิสัยอุปทาน
That's the habit of the upatan, the delusive attachment.
ฝึกเอามาดิ
Practicing
เอา
to
ธาตุเอาขันธ์มา
attain,
เอาธรรมมาเอาส
to
ติเอาสมาธิ
attain
เอาตบะ
body
เอา
mind,
ฌานเอาญาณ
mindfulness,
ฝึกเอามาดิ
concentration,
ฝึกติด
insight. This is the practice to be fixated.
มันก็เลยได้นิสัย
That's
อุปทาน
why
มา
one
เรื่อย
grasping, gaining the habit of the upatan.
ๆไม่แม้กระทั่งไม่เอง
Disregard, even
จะล้าง
from the
นิสัย
disregard
เองลูก
itself,
ทั้งหม
it
ด
will
สิ้นแล้ว
automatically
นิสัย
purify
อุปทาน
our habits, the habits of the upatan.
แม่เล็กมึงเห็นน่ะติดแต่แฟชั่นโชว์ติดแต่เดินแบ
Nong
บ
Po pointing out at the fish with
ติดแต่
colorful
แต่ง
body.
ตัวแฟชั่นเดิน
That
แบบ
is
โช
the
ว์นี่
karma
โชว์
of
นั่น
being
มัน
fixated
เกิดเป็น
with
แน่
being on the fashion show or like to dress oneself up. The carbs.
เด็กอาจจะตายอยู่ในน้ำ
So uneasy within the water like that. Such a karma is fated oneself to become
ควา
as
มสวย
such.
ความสวยมันคือสิ่งเดียวกัน
The
นะ
beauty and the unfortunate is the same thing.
สวย
Being
แล้วก็ติดสวยแล้วก็สวย
beautiful
เพราะติดสวยนี่แหละ
and then being unfortunate with such beauty. That's why being fated as such.
ไอ้พวกนั้นพวกประเภทเนี่ยพวกนกยุงอ่ะนกยุงอ่ะ
Another one is
น
peacock.
กยุงอ่ะ
They
เป็นนก
like
ยุงอ่ะเยอะหมด
to do fashion show. They turn into peacocks. They are fated,
ขนอยู่นั่นแหละลำแพง
showing their tails
เจอใครโช
on
ว์
and on,
เจ
always
อใคร
showing
โช
off.
ว์เลย
Whoever they meet, they show off their beauty.
โอ้ สีอโหสีกรรมนี่มันเยอะจริงๆสรรพสัตว์มันเกิดขึ้น
All the beings have so much karma. This is from the mindset to gain. That's why it's transformed into many forms. This is the samutai, the origin of the samutai, or the obsession to set up for attainment or to gain, to obtain. Even for mindfulness, it becomes karma within mindfulness. The karmic difficulties is fated as such. There is the rigidity within mindfulness as such, as fated. Whatever one is set up to gain, the karmic difficulties will organize it to sink in, to maintain as such, on and on. Disregard even from the disregard itself. This is not about disregard something. This is not about the act of disregard something. Let it be without flaw. Disregard from the disregard itself. It's not about disregarding from something. Because that is not ending. There is still samutai that is attending to disregard. Disregard from the disregard itself, it will be without flaw. We are now walking through the forest. This is not about competing to walk. Keep space for each other. Walking in the way that disregard from the disregard itself, not about walking in the walking. Well, to disperse, this is not about being restless. Dispersing in a way that doesn't grasp itself. Disperse in the way that doesn't grasp itself. Expand the awakening and brightening in the way that is dispersing itself. Break through the forest itself. Penetrate through the awakening and brightening. Disregard even from the disregard itself continuously. Don't walk like buffaloes. Walking, sinking in itself, sinking in the drowsiness itself. That is like walking like buffaloes. Use the essence of cutting within the cutting itself. Then it will not be about anything within cutting or not cutting automatically. No, it's not even know itself. Well with it. No grasping even for the non-grasping itself. May everything be ahosi, ahosi,